Okay, so this is day number 22 of the new YouTube channel, and I actually screwed up. I didn't make a video yesterday, so the chain has been broken. I'm not going to go back to day one. I'm just going to consider this to be day 22. Um, just you know, it just slipped my mind yesterday. I normally make it in the evening, but um, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. Mistakes happen, and we go ahead and we try to we commit to doing this right from here on out. So day number 22 today, and the last time I made the last video was on the 19th of September. I didn't make one on the 20th of September. So what was noteworthy about yesterday is that in my real estate office, it's interesting that there's a lot of people that who are middle class, who have good jobs, that cannot get a rental. There's people desperately looking for rental properties, especially in the Central Florida area right now. Maybe that won't hold true in the future. The market is getting a little bit better. The red hot market is cooling down with interest rates going up. But it's been something else that a lot of people cannot get rental properties. They're actually priced out of the marketplace. I'm glad that I bought when I did. I'm back in 2017. Because if you didn't, you have the rental prices they're sky high. Landlords are raising the rents, especially after the pandemic. A lot of the pandemic, there was a lot of people would not or could not or would not pay their rent, and there was a moratorium on landlords collecting that rent. They couldn't force their tenants to pay rent. Well, that's all catching up to people now. And then you couple that with a red hot market, a real estate market, where average and ordinary people can't afford to pay rent. And it's a hot mess for a lot of people. And especially if they have an eviction on their record. There's some people that come into our real estate office. There's not much we can do at all for them. Not much. There's really nothing at all we can do for them. Now, I did find something that came across my desk today that looks like it might be an option for some of those people. But if you have an eviction, it's not gonna go good for you. It's not going to. It's going to be very difficult for you to find a place, because even people with perfect credit are priced out. Middle class people who have decent jobs are priced out of the marketplace right now. I mean, the rental payment is much more than what they pay, back in 2017 and earlier for a mortgage. Now these folks cannot get a rental, and if you've got an eviction on your record, you can, it's very unlikely that it's going to happen. You're going to have to find a home with friends or family or something, but it's a shame. And there's a lot of, there's some places in Central Florida that even these places are drying up, where they would have like these really rundown hotels, and they would rent week to week, and you'd stay in this, in a little hotel room, a 2-star, 1-star hotel. Those places are drying up, and those places are being renovated, and they're under a lot of them are under new management. And the sales manager was telling me today that a person that she knows who's a school teacher, it's a decent job. School teacher's a decent job. It's a commendable job. They staying in one of these pay by the week hotel rooms because they have no other options, right? So what's the lesson with that? Well, the lesson is that for years I've heard the conventional wisdom, it's better to rent, or lease. And no, I don't agree with any of that. If you have a home and you've got a fixed rate mortgage, um, there's some security in there. Like just like right now with inflation taking off and interest rates going up. Yeah, back in the day, if you had an adjustable rate mortgage, your monthly payments could skyrocket. But if you were to get a fixed rate, a fixed rate, you get a mortgage and you pay a fixed rate, that rate's not going to go up for the life of that loan, for that 30 years or 15 years or however long that loan term was. Your rates are not going to go up, and the value of like your dollar, you're buying that, you're buying it what the home is worth when you buy it. So if the value skyrockets and skyrockets and you have equity all of a sudden, um, you're not going to be in a position where, like, if you're if you're renting, your landlord can raise the rents. And a lot of landlords, like, family member of mine, he's been renting, and he just can't, he's got a great tenant, but the tenants, had to raise the rates, had to raise the rental prices just because of inflation. It's just the times that we're living in. So what can I say? Well, first, never get an eviction. Always prioritize. Like if you only have, this is my opinion, no legal advice. I'll put that disclaimer out there. You need to prioritize the bills that you pay, right? And your first priority should be paying those secured debts. Your home and your cars, and then you should be paying your light bill and your water bill. And then finally on the unsecured debts. You should pay all of your debts. But if you're running short, by all means do not pay your mortgage payment, or do not pay your rent payment. And I think that was a terrible mistake that our government did, was to let people, especially when they could, they just said, hey, if you've been affected by COVID, then you don't have to pay your rent. And that was a terrible thing. And then when the moratorium was lifted, it was the CDC that came up with the moratorium. And when the moratorium was lifted, there was no plan to, I don't think there was any kind of plan to ease these folks back into paying. Now that's not fair to the landlord, because the bank is not giving the landlord any any leeway. That landlord has to feed his or her family, and they got to make payments if they owe payments on their property. So it's not fair to them. So the tenant shouldn't get a free ride. But that's just all society now. This is all playing out. This channel is not supposed to be political, but I just put that out there. You should pay your bills. You should be in a position where you don't have to worry about stuff like that. So, and if you get to that situation, like what to do, what I would say is that a couple of things come to mind. Like if you're in dire straits, what to do. When I was in the military, there was an assignment that I had where I was living in the barracks, and I had to share. Somehow they thought it was okay to put 4 people into a single room, and we had no privacy at all. And that was like, that's tough luck. That's on you. And I elected on my own to go off base. I wasn't getting any housing allowance or anything, but I rented a mobile home, and I lived in a mobile home for like 2 years. And it was fine. I mean, it's not the best circumstances, but it was safe and it was clean. There's not much to look at, but on the inside, you lock your door. You have your creature comforts, and most of all, you have your privacy, and that's something that you can get by on. A lot of places in the country, there's Central Florida is an expensive place to live, but there's places on the outskirts, like if you go like to Zephyr Hills or Groveland or some more rural areas. If I was living out west, places like El Paso, Texas. I own land near El Paso, Texas, that I'm trying to sell. Um, but you know, a lot of people, they can rent like on the other side of the border. A lot of people like in Southern California, like in San Diego, they are living across the border in Baja California, and they're commuting to work in Southern California, and they're crossing the border every day. And I think you could do that, probably get away with doing that. I went to Ciudad Juarez. I know it's not the safest place, but I'll tell you, you know, um, I could you could definitely do that. You definitely have options. And finally, you know, if you're willing to let go across the world, you know, countries like Malaysia and Thailand and Vietnam, you know, you can rent, you know, an apartment. If you have a little bit of income coming in, like a social security payment, you can rent an apartment for $200, $300, $400 a month, and you'd be living in a pretty decent place. I had a friend who was in Hua Hin in Thailand, which is a coastal city about 3 hours south of Bangkok, and he you know, rented this apartment 3 blocks from the ocean, and every day he'd walk on the beach, and that was like under $400 US every month. So you know, there's always options. There's always things that you can do. That's what I would do if I was on dire straits. I'd just take my family. You know, we would go overseas. We'd go to South America. We would go to Southeast Asia. You know, there's plenty of options. But unfortunately, we're very well rooted here in Florida, and you know, but it's always good to have options. It's always good to know about these particular things. So, if you have any questions, like, comment, subscribe. You know, we want to get you to a place where you are like have multiple options and that you're a baller, and then you can live large. You can live in nice homes. You can have assets, and you can afford different things. But having said that, I can tell you also on the flip side that everything that you have can be taken away from you. Every single thing. If you lose your health, it can be taken away from you. You lose your mind, it can be taken away from you. Don't laugh. I mean, people lose their mind and lose their health. You know, people do get rolled up. People do get falsely accused of things. People make mistakes. People make honest mistakes. People make dishonest mistakes, and they have ethical lapses, and you know, the whole world gets rocked, and it happens. And you know, I think, you know, knowing about what to do in certain situations and having some contingency plans. I got that from the military. In 20 years of being in the military has all kinds of contingency plans for every single thing you can think of. Having another plan on what to do is really important. So, like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching, and we'll commit to making these videos every single night. Said for the remainder of my life. So I missed yesterday, but I'm not going to beat myself up on it. It happens, but we learn from the experience, and we continue to recommit and try again. Not try, but commit to doing it right every day from here on out. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.